is Julie. I'm going to tell you about WRAP, which stands for Wellness Recovery Action Plan. WRAP is a self-directed program that helps people plan for wellness. WRAP can be used to support mental health, physical health issues, substance use, mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, also chronic pain. I even know of an individual who created a WRAP to support themselves through a pregnancy, and I know somebody who created a WRAP to deal with 3 semesters of college. So everyone creates their own WRAP, and it's very unique for each individual. I'm going to take you through the steps of WRAP today, and I'm going to explain how WRAP has been effective for me in helping me with my mental health. WRAP has been a huge part of my own wellness and recovery, and for much of my life, I struggled with frequent mood swings. I experienced deep depressions and intense anxiety. I also had periods of fierce energy and chaotic activity. After I got a diagnosis, medication was tried, and I had to try many different varieties of medication in order to come up with a solution that worked for me. And at some point, we did come upon a combination of medications that worked, and I was able to stabilize, and my life was able to do pretty well. I still had some challenges with my mental health. I didn't have a whole lot of coping skills. The skills that I had were my medication. So when there was a problem with my insurance and my medication was abruptly stopped, I ended up falling into a crisis. I ended up in a severe and deep depression with suicidal thoughts, and I was having behaviors of self-harm, and I ended up being hospitalized. After my hospitalization, my medication did not get stabilized. My insurance company wanted me to start back with medications that I had already found to be unusable for me for a variety of reasons, and it was really difficult going through this period. I sunk into another really serious deep depression. Around this time, I was introduced to methamphetamine, and it was proposed that it would make me feel better, and at that point I would do anything to feel better, and I fell quickly into addiction. WRAP was not part of my life still at this point. I had heard about it, but I didn't really know how to use it. So it was in the back of my mind, though, that there was a way that people could get well and stay well. Early in my recovery, I was able to connect to a peer resource center, and at the peer resource center they offered WRAP seminars, and I took the WRAP seminar, and I was really relieved to find that there was a plan, there was a way that I could create for myself a road to get well. WRAP gave me tools to manage my recovery, and 6 years later, I'm really grateful to say that WRAP is the huge cornerstone of my wellness and recovery. Today, if my medication were to be abruptly stopped, I don't think I'd fall into addiction again, because I have a lot of tools and resources. I have a strong coping skills and a trove of resources available to me to help me manage. So I feel like I would really be okay. I'm not saying it would be easy, but I would be okay. Now I'm going to tell you about WRAP. The first part of WRAP is the 5 key concepts. And the 5 key concepts are hope, personal responsibility, education, self-advocacy, and support. Now with hope is essential to a recovery because it's a motivation to carry on. It's a motivation to try again. It's a light at the end of the tunnel. It is different for everybody. For me, hope is a lifeline that keeps me connected to my own wellness. Hope is a very important and beginning part of recovery, because without hope, really, we can't do anything. And hope is, we can do things, but without hope, it's very hard to do things. So hope is a very important part of our recovery. The second concept is personal responsibility. Personal responsibility is doing for myself that which is of mine to do. It's identifying those things that I can do for myself and doing them because it's my responsibility. For me, some of the ways I take personal responsibility are that I make sure I get to my appointments on time. I schedule appointments that I need. I take my medication as directed. I have a therapy appointment. I do the work that I need to do in therapy. That's part of my personal responsibility. Personal responsibility is like the opportunity to make good choices for myself. And I'm really grateful that I have personal responsibility. I didn't know about it before, and I didn't know that there were things that I could do. It makes me feel more in control of my own life. The third concept is education. And education is a huge part of recovery because learning about ourselves, we learn that we are the best expert on ourselves. We know for ourselves what we need to do. And it doesn't mean that we have all the information. We go out there and we get the information and we learn about our condition or our diagnosis. We learn about medications. We learn about treatment options. We learn about things that will help us feel better. We learn about what we don't want to do. We learn about the things that are not helpful for us. Having a curious mind and being open to being educated is a huge part of recovery. The fourth concept is self-advocacy. Self-advocacy is using our voice and speaking up for ourselves and getting our needs met in healthy and effective and appropriate ways. We learn about our personal rights when we work in RAP, and we learn how to find that voice in ourselves. We do this by having exercises that help us with our self-esteem, and we learn to find that voice to speak up for ourselves. The last concept is support. Support is very important, and RAP encourages us to have at least 5 supporters, and there's a variety of reasons why more supporters are better. We get different things from different supporters. We get different kind of support. Not everybody is everything for us, and if you have just one supporter, you can burn them out. They can get, they might have their own mental health needs that need to be taken care of, and having only one supporter limits us as to what we can do. Having more support is really important. And in RAP, we learn how to develop these relationships. We learn how to be good supporters ourselves. We learn what we want from support, and we also learn what we don't want from support. And we learn to create those relationships that are going to benefit us. The second part of RAP is the Wellness Toolbox. A Wellness Toolbox is a list of things that we can do to stay well, or that can help us feel better if we're not feeling well. There are literally hundreds of wellness tools, and there are wellness tools that are fun and make us feel good, like a spa bath or getting a pedicure. There are wellness tools that are just important for us to do because it helps maintain our wellness, like making the bed and brushing our teeth. These are things that could help us feel better. I know when I've been in a depression, just getting out of bed, brushing my teeth, getting dressed, those are very basic things, but those have helped me feel better. And so those are on my wellness tool list. One of my favorite wellness tools is my hammock. I love to lay in my hammock when I don't feel well. I love to look up at the sky. For some reason, that really gives me a sense of hope, and it kind of renews my energy towards healing and recovery. I am really grateful for my hammock. It's one of my favorite things to do. So other wellness tools are meditation, eating healthy food, taking a hot bath, having tea, talking with a supporter. Like I said, there are literally hundreds of wellness tools. So after we create a wellness toolbox, we begin to work on our RAP plan. And the first part of the RAP plan is the daily maintenance plan. And the daily maintenance plan has 3 parts. The first part is what I'm like when I'm well. And this is important because it gives us a baseline for what our wellness is, and we know what we're striving for. And when we're not well, we're able to use it to compare and contrast and see where we are not, and see what we want to work towards. So this is generally a list of just different things that we feel like when we're well. For me, when I'm well, I'm generally a happy person. I'm a good problem solver. I'm a homebody. I'm a little disorganized, a little bit messy. I like to talk with people, and I am open to learning new things, and I have a kind of curiosity about my life. So those are some of the things that are on my list of what I'm like when I'm well. The second part of the list is things we need to do every day to stay well. And these are things that are on these are things that we do every single day to stay well. So every day I will drink water that I need to drink. I will take my medication. I will brush my teeth. Every day I will feed my dogs, and I will play with them because that's part of my wellness. And every day I go to work on Monday through Friday. I also do my work. I do work at home, and so I do that on the weekend. So every day I have something that I do that is work, and so that's on my list of things I do every day. The next list is things I might need to do every day, and these are things that don't happen every day, but that might need to happen, like going to the grocery store, going to the pharmacy, having a doctor's appointment. There are things that don't happen every day, but they need to happen in order to help you stay well. So after we've created these 3 lists, we start to work on our triggers or stressors. Triggers or stressors are things that are generally external. They're things that happen to us or in our environment that cause us to not feel well. And they can be things like traffic, people arguing. They can be like the evening news is a trigger for me a lot of times, so I limit my news. And we identify these triggers that can cause us to not feel well. If I have a very hot day is very triggering for me. When I have too much work built up on my desk, that's a stressor for me. So we identify those things that are triggers or stressors, and then we create a plan for them. So some of the things on my plan are meditation. I will break down the list of work that I have to do into smaller bites. I might make a list of things I need to do and then prioritize those things on my list. Some other things on my plan are deep breathing, are calling a friend or a supporter, journaling, a cup of hot tea. All of these things really help me when I'm experiencing triggers or stressors. The next part of WRAP is the early warning signs and a plan. We create a plan for that. So the early warning signs are generally internal indicators that I'm feeling unwell. This is my favorite part of WRAP, because in the past I would experience a crisis and it seemed like it came out of the blue, like out of nowhere. But by learning to identify that my early warning signs, I realized that there's a lot of things that happen prior to a crisis, and that I have control, I have power to make decisions and choices for myself that are going to lead me away from crisis and help me maintain my wellness. It's up to me to take action when I see my early warning signs, and this is a very powerful part of WRAP. Some of my early warning signs are that I become tearful, I am unable to sleep well, and maybe I might have some bad dreams. Early warning signs for me are if I don't want to go to work, or I don't want to do the things that I want to do, because work is a huge part of my wellness and I love work. Those are some of my early warning signs. Also being cranky, feeling anxiety, not wanting to get out of bed. Some of my plans for my early warning signs are taking part of the day off of work, meditation, deep breathing, going to a yoga class, talking with my therapist, making another appointment to see her sooner than later, and also calling for peer support. Peer support is really a big part of my wellness. So the next part of WRAP is when things are breaking down, and we make a plan for that. So this is times when we're feeling very unwell, but we're not yet in a crisis. We're able to make decisions for ourselves, and we're still able to make good choices for ourselves. We are not needing someone else to take over for us yet at this point. It's important at this point to be specific and to take action. So when things are breaking down for me are when I cannot stop crying, when I am very angry and I hold on to that anger all day, when I don't want to go to work or I've called in sick for multiple days in a row, if I haven't gotten out of bed for a couple of days. Those are all signs that things are breaking down for me. So if I sleep more than 12 hours for 3 days in a row, that's an indicator that I'm not doing well at all. This is a time where we need to make a plan that's very specific. For me, I clear my schedule for a couple of days. I ask a supporter to help with doing that if necessary. I make an appointment with my therapist immediately. I take off of work for 1 to 3 days. I call my supporters. I practice mindfulness, and I always do some journaling. So those are important steps that I take every time when I get to a point where things are breaking down. So the next part of RAP is the crisis plan. And this is the part of the plan that you may want to share with other supporters. And the crisis plan has 9 parts. Part 1 is what I'm like when I'm well. You're going to take that list that you made at the beginning of your RAP and you're going to put it right in here. This is helpful for your supporters to be able to see the difference between when you're well and how you're feeling right now when you're unwell in a crisis. You can just take that same exact list. This lets people know what your baseline is and what you're striving for. Part 2 is signs that others need to take over for you. Here you're going to list those signs that indicate that other people need to take responsibility for you. For me, the signs that other people need to take responsibility for me are that I'm causing self-harm, or I'm having suicidal actions, I'm extremely depressed, or I'm very, very manic, or I'm having physical violence towards others. Those are all indicators that I'm in a crisis and things are getting out of control and I need help. And so my supporters would know that. Part 3 is our supporters. This identifies who will help, and it's a place where you will write the contact information on who will help, and maybe you might identify one main supporter who's going to be in charge of initiating your crisis plan. This is important so that other supporters know how to get a hold of each other who are on your support plan. It's important at this point to make sure that you talk to the people who are on your support plan and make sure that this is something that they're willing to do to support you. And if they're not, that's fine. They can be still a good friend and a good supporter in other ways. They might not want to be part of a crisis plan, and that's okay. So the next part is our medications. Here we write down what medications we're on, what dosages we take, what medications we're allergic to. We write down medications that we have previously found unworkable because of side effects or because of, or just didn't work for us. We're going to write those things down in this part. With the medications, we also write down our pharmacy contact information and anything else that we feel like might be important. You might want to write in this area any supplements that you take or any alternative medications that you take, if you take like Chinese herbs or vitamins or other things for treatment. Then the next part is treatments. And treatments is treatments that you'd be interested in having or that would be helpful, and treatments that would not be helpful. In this area, you would also put alternative treatments like massage therapy or acupuncture or treatments like that that have worked or that you are not interested in. This is a part for you to have a voice in saying what you want to have happen when you're in a crisis. The next part is my favorite part, and that's the community respite plan. Sometimes going to the hospital isn't the right thing, and so we create for ourselves a way to take care of our needs when we're unwell without having to go to the hospital. And for me, this means that I have a friend who comes over and they stay with me as long as I need them to, and they help me with the things that are on my support list. They help me with the things that will help me feel better. Sometimes I go to another person's house and I might stay with them for a day or two. This is an area where it's important to look into your community resources and see what resources are available. And maybe there's a crisis center that you could go to without having to be hospitalized, but using your resources while you're unwell can help you stay out of the hospital. And the next part is treatment facilities. This is if you needed to go to the hospital, what hospital would you want to go to? Also, what hospital would you not want to go to? And the next part is help from others. Help from others is what is helpful from them, and also what is not helpful. Like, for instance, for me, it is helpful if if people are quiet and my environment is very mellow and quiet. I don't like to talk a lot, so that would be on my list of things that would not be helpful. If somebody wanted to be talkative and chatty, that's not helpful for me. And the last part of the crisis plan is that signs that the plan is no longer needed. These are indicators that you no longer need to have the crisis plan. For me, this is I'm getting out of bed, I'm taking a shower, I'm eating a meal, I'm having a conversation, I'm not staying in bed. And this is really important part because you want indicators that are very clear. I am grateful for these indicators because when I'm not well, I will lie to my supporters and tell them, no, I'm fine, and I really just want them to go away. But my supporters will have this list and they will know, no, if she's not getting out of bed or she's not eating a good meal, she's not getting dressed, then it's not time to leave. So the last part is the post-crisis plan. That's the last part of your entire wrap. And the post-crisis plan helps us to resume life back to normal again, helps us to not do everything all at once. Maybe we might want to go back to work slowly. We might want to have still some supports with grocery shopping or doing some things. And this helps us to not engage in life fully 100% all at once right after a crisis. This could help us avoid falling back into crisis. So I just want to say that is the entire wrap. And wrap for me is like, it's really advocating for my future self when I'm not going to feel well. And hopefully I don't need to have it, but having a crisis plan and having that available gives me a sense of security that I have done for myself that which I could do. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity. WRAP has been an amazing, effective part of my life, and my wellness has been directly related to being able to have this plan and these skills that I've been able to develop. Also the development of the relationships that I've created from doing WRAP and from being a WRAP facilitator. And thank you.